I just finished breaking down Jon Penberthy's $542,000 per month sales funnel. And so today I'll be breaking down every single social media, landing page, VSL script, and everything that he is using to get you to buy his programs. And of course, I'll be breaking down the exact three-prong trident strategy that he is using to go ahead and make sure to double his sales using the Barnum effect. I even broke down his entire content strategy in full detail so you can go ahead and copy it and implement it into your own coaching business to make sure you get the most traction physically possible. So let's just get straight into it. All right. So starting off, we're going to start off with breaking down the TikTok. So on the TikTok, he has around 27,000 followers. As you can see, founder and CEO of adclients.com. And this is a little bit of social proof of like who this guy is right away. And of course, you know that there's a brand behind him, so instantly you trust him a little bit more. Creator of AdCon, even more social proof. And then of course, my $40 million framework is a CTA plus even more social proof, because people are curious, like, how did he make $40 million? That makes no sense, right? And now after that, he has, for the actual content, he's been getting pretty obviously lackluster views. That happens on TikTok. It's pretty normal. But the main thing that you need to focus on TikTok is just trying to replicate your viral videos. The reason is because TikTok as a platform is extremely unforgiving with its algorithm. It hates you. Like literally, it will, at any cost, it wants to just goddamn like crap on your content. It hates your content, basically. That's how you kind of want to think about it. And so if your content is remotely bad and somebody just goes ahead and, scrolls away from your content and they completely ignore it, right? They are bored from your content, then TikTok is going to take that cue and instantly it's going to make your content flop right away, right? That's why most content flops at this range right here, the 600, 700, 3,000 or whatever range that it might be, because right now it's going to only your closest following. Those are the only people that are going to watch the slop that you put out, right? And it's not slop, but it's like not the best work you possibly could put out. So TikTok knows that, and it's like, no, we're not going to push this at all. If he can get anything to look better, if he can make his videos better, then we'll only push it out. But the thing with TikTok is that although it's very hard to get content pushed out on TikTok, when it actually does get pushed out, you will see the results. It'll be insane. The amount of views you can get on TikTok is like unmatched. It's insanity. Like 150,000, 230,000. These videos, same videos on Instagram would get maybe 50K, right? That's how much more effective TikTok is at getting traffic. So your main goal on TikTok is not nurturing, it's not conversions, nothing like that. All it is just getting traffic into your main funnel over here. Now, for the Instagram, which is the next social media, this is the other short form platform that I'll be breaking down over here. As you can see, you tell them your name. Entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Ad Clients, same thing, and even more social proof with $122 million generated by myself and my clients, even more social proof. And then of course, the final CTA plus social proof, same exact stuff. It's just that it's a little bit longer with more social proof. As you can see, he's building as much trust as physically possible and giving you as much information about him as physically possible right away. So you feel like you know him better, even though you actually don't. Now, next are the story sequences. So for the story sequences, there's client results, AdCon 2025, Titan, Masterminds, AdCon 2024, publications. I'm not going to break down these three over here, or AdCon 2025. AdCon is just basically an event that he holds, right? That's all you really need to know about this. It's recapping AdCon, client results, very basic stuff. He keeps these up to date with brand new client results, new results that they're getting, screenshots, testimonials, video testimonials, blah, 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 everything that it might be, building a ton of trust and social proof. Titan is one of his programs. It's one of the three-pronged trident strategy programs over here using the Barnum effect, as I talked about at the start of this video. And the basic way that the Titan program works is that it's kind of like a mastermind for people who are doing over $2.5 million every single year and they want to scale way further. Now, next is Mastermind. Now, Masterminds is going to be very self-explanatory. All the masterminds that he holds within Titan itself, okay? And so these masterminds, he's kind of recapping, hey, we're super cool over here. We give you so much stuff. And he's kind of showing off that they actually do some cool stuff in the mastermind. Basically, he's just trying to show you what happens inside the mastermind so that the people who he's actually trying to sell to know what it looks like. And then, of course, there's publications, which is just a few of his publications, like publications about him building even more social proof. Now, for his actual content, he's getting, as you can see, way more average views than on the TikTok, right? Not way more, but it's like double, right? And the reason this is just because Instagram is way better at TikTok than TikTok at nurturing. And what I mean by nurturing is just making people see your face as much as physically possible. And I'll touch on this way deeper when we get into the whole podcast and YouTube part. But for now, all you need to know is nurturing is getting people to see your face as much as physically possible, basically, right? This is what you need them to do. You need them to see your face as much as physically possible. That's your main goal. And by the way, this is an eye and that's your face. Okay. Now, the reason we want to do this is just because when they see your face as much as physically possible, they feel more comfortable with you. They get to know you a little bit better and they strengthen the relationship with you, right? That's your main goal. And once they strengthen that relationship enough, they're way more likely to buy compared to at the start, right? It's the same thing with a friendship. If you had a friend, you only built that friendship over years and years and years of seeing each other basically a lot, right? And that's the only reason you've built that friendship to the point where you can trust them with a lot of your stuff. It's because you've seen them so many times that, you're like, okay, he wouldn't do XYZ or he would do XYZ. You kind of feel comfortable around that specific human being. Now, same thing happens with marketing. Same thing happens with social media. That's exactly what Jon is doing over here with his content personally on the Instagram. It's mostly just it's kind of motivational content, but it's a lot of value-based content that are clips from his longer form podcasts. And these are podcasts off of the Expansion podcast channel and of course also off of the main Jon Penberthy channel. These, as you can see, are not off the Jon Penberthy channel over here. These talking head videos, they are. Now, a lot of these are talking about marketing, sales, blah, blah, blah. And they're just a ton of tips and tricks where basically it gives you the caption over here and he talks about, XYZ, whatever thing that'll help your business. It's very basic stuff. It's super basic content that he's making and it is working for him. So I'd recommend for him to keep going. If he keeps on getting these lackluster views, I'd highly recommend he pivots because so far he's been getting like very, very low traction with this stuff. And I'd say, implement a little bit of a 20%, 80-20% rule, right? So I'll see a lot of people that get stuck with content. I'm sure a lot of you guys in the audience are facing this exact problem where you're like, oh my God, I don't know where to go with my content and I'm not getting that many views, but this stuff works. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. And so the way you want to test this is just do 80% of what you were doing before. And then every 5 videos, you can post one video that is just completely brand new with just a completely out of left field and completely new thing, right? And your audience won't really care because if they don't like it, they just won't watch it and they'll keep watching your other content. It's not a big deal. And it is going to definitely be way better than just sitting around and waiting for the algorithm to make sure that your 80% just doesn't work anymore, right? And so you're always advancing and you're always getting better as fast as physically possible. Now, next, as I was talking about before, we're going to get into the YouTube. Now, the YouTube itself is his main, biggest platform and the most important platform out of all of them. He has 1.4 thousand videos and he has 55,000 subscribers. As you can see, in his bio, there's a whole story about him, how, he dropped out of school, all of his main qualifications, $40 million plus online coaching community, generating $125 million of results. I've learned this, blah, blah, blah. This channel is where I do XYZ. Very basic stuff. You can even use ChatGPT for this. It's really not that difficult. Just make sure that it doesn't use those long ass dashes and you're going to be completely all right, right? Now, for the links, he has free resource, my company, Instagram, and TikTok. And we broke down the Instagram and TikTok, so we're not going to break that down here. But once we break down the whole YouTube funnel itself, we'll get into these two links over here. Now, for the YouTube funnel, when you get into the YouTube, you'll see these following videos. He's getting decent views on the videos. He's getting like 500,000. And this is pretty decent on YouTube, although it's not really crazy for him because he gets a lot of views. But the interesting thing I'll see with, Jon here is that 90% of the time he will make really just videos that are super valuable, but they don't get a lot of views. But then 1 or 2 videos will get really a lot of views. And I think the main reason for that is that obviously it's just that he didn't implement the teachings from that older video. So he wasn't able to do it. And that's why the video have been going, a little bit worse than they used to. And so I definitely recommend for him to go ahead and go back to his older videos, see what the hell was working, why was that stuff working, and what can I implement right now. And for the actual content that he's implementing right now, let me just break it down quickly. It's mostly just whiteboard content and talking head videos. So talking head videos meaning literally this thing right here with a background. He's just talking to the camera, telling you exactly what to do. So if this extremely boring strategy tells you about this strategy, I challenge you to make $13,000 in 30 days. Again, another challenge video tells you how to do it. Spend $1 million on business strategies, tells you exactly what he learned, right? Everything. He's just paying off the title and thumbnail, which is really good on him. But overall, I'd say the content strategy isn't working super well. And I'd say he should be learning a little bit more from his older content. And probably he is, but it's going to be a process of time for him to get better. Now, for the actual description of the YouTube videos, as you can see, like the main thing we're doing here is we're trying to break down the actual funnel behind this. So the organic content for Jon isn't really performing too well right now. So we're not going to go over that too deep like in this video, because I do usually go way deeper into our organic content, but there's not really much to talk about with Jon here. So I don't want to go too deep into that. So we're going to get into the main stuff, which is going to be the main funnel, which is really, really well fleshed out, by the way. So you should stick around for that. Now, as you can see, Get My Framework is the first thing you'll see. And this is actually a free thing. So this is the momentum framework I use to scale faster, work smarter, and build a $30 million thriving business. I'll break that down in a second. Let me just finish the whole description. He breaks down the whole video. This is just a ChatGPT description that just has a ton of touch points or a ton of keywords for SEO and just Google search. And then he has a ton of links, and all of these are just free resources that he sells, or well, they're free, so he doesn't sell them, but free stuff that he offers. And this is just building a ton of trust. And secondly, it's also showing you, hey, I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to give you all this free resources. And it's also building a ton of goodwill. And you'll see this same kind of style with Alex Hormozi, you know, other people like Alex, you know, they all go for this strategy where it's like give until you get. You keep on giving, you keep on giving, you keep on giving, you keep on giving, you keep on giving until the point where all of this can get cashed out for one giant ask, right? Secondly, also that they get a ton of value from him, so they feel indebted to him. They feel way more indebted to him than just a random dude on the internet who made YouTube videos, because they got so much free stuff. 90% of people are not going to use any of these frameworks, and that's okay, right? The main goal for these frameworks is literally just being there. That's the main thing, just being there and offering these frameworks to people. That is what's going to get you those few clients that are super high quality. And so he just gives, and then he eventually will hit you with a big ask, which we'll get into as well very, very soon, since he has a very, very high ticket funnel, which we're breaking down right now. Now, let's get into the main framework, because he's been pushing this quite a lot. For the framework, he just goes into a super simple page. A lot of people overcomplicate their lead magnet page. Please don't. You don't need to worry too much about it. Just put some basic social proof on the page and then a big button that tells you why you should do it. And then also, of course, the title and the subheading. Now, the interesting thing about what the momentum framework does is that he takes you to this opt-in next. And when you fill out all the stuff on the opt-in, right, that is when you actually get access to the momentum framework. But the problem is that, as you can see, when you do fill all this stuff out, the momentum framework just does not work. And I'm not sure if this is just at the time. Maybe there's some kind of issue going on. Obviously, I tried a ton of different emails, ton of different first names, ton of different numbers. Really did not work. I even tried my personal number as well in the US, and it still did not work. So I'm really not sure why exactly the momentum framework is not working. That's definitely a big issue on his operations end, and I'd say he should probably fix that. It's a huge bottleneck that a lot of people are going to look at his funnel and be like, what the hell, why is he so unprofessional? Why isn't this working? And, you know, if it doesn't work, he should have probably removed it. But of course, he's probably going to figure it out. He's probably going to find it and fix it. Stuff happens sometimes. But of course, the best way to avoid something like this happening in your own funnel is just make sure to bi-weekly check everything that you do. So every single week, hop on a call with, you know, whoever is your co-founder. If you have a co-founder, if you have employees that manage all your back-end operations, hop on a call with them every single week, get updates on exactly what's going on and everything. And even if you're doing it yourself, just look through your funnel and see what the hell is going on with your funnel. Just go through it as a normal prospect would. Where would you want them to go? Where would you like them to go to convert eventually? Now, after that, the second place that they can go is to his podcast. Now, from the YouTube over here, they can also go to this expansion podcast. And the reason I linked this is because he actually promoted it the first time on this video. And the expansion podcast is actually just a podcast held, obviously, by Jon. And it's super new, and it's getting barely any views. And the main reason he's done this channel is just because he wants to have longer videos that give away even more value that are podcast style. Because Jon knows that the sheer power of podcasts in general are so powerful, and a lot of people are sleeping on them. That's why all these big gurus are using them. Podcasts, the reason that they're so powerful is because they're so good at nurturing. They're so long. And of course, I almost forgot, but let me break down exactly what nurturing means. So I boiled down nurturing earlier to having people see your face as much as physically possible. And that's the basic definition. But it all comes down to something I like to call the 7-11-4 rule. And if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you've probably heard me repeat this like 20 times, because it's the most important rule in content creation, and it should be fried and seared into your brain by now. So the 7-11-4 rule basically goes like this. It's a study done by Google where they found that the average prospect needs to consume 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points across 4 different locations to actually buy one of your products. Now, the 7 hours of content, super self-explanatory. It is just hours of content consumed. So that's why these longer form things or these longer form videos work so well, because they allow you to get way more hours of content consumed, like ungodly amounts of hours of content consumed. Think about how long it would take you to watch 7 hours of Instagram reels. It would take you like hundreds of reels to watch that instead of just watching maybe 7 videos. That's it. 7 podcasts. So it's just not even a competition in between these two for just the sheer amount of time watched. Now, the second parameter is the touch points parameter. Now, touch points parameter is where the Instagram and everything comes in, because it basically means, touch points basically means that they need to consume those 7 hours of content across multiple different videos, reels, pieces of content in general. So they need to minimum consume 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points. So 11 different videos, 11 different reels, 11 different whatever. And that's why these reels are so powerful, because they get so many touch points super quickly. And something I see a lot of people talking about the 7-11-4 rule but not mentioning is that the 7-11-4 rule kind of is very proportional, right? That's the main way that it works. So that basically means that the 7 hours of content, right, is very proportional to the 11 different touch points. So what I mean by that is that if you consume more than 7 hours of content and you consume less touch points, this will be equal to if you just kept it the same. And obviously that's not a really good explanation. Let me flesh it out a little bit more. So let's say you watched 5 hours of content and you instead consume 20 touch points. This person would probably have the same likelihood of conversion as that 7 hours and 11 touch points person that they consume that much, just because that's how the rule works. And in the same vein, if they watched 12 hours of content and they only watched that over, let's say 4 different, or let's say 7 different touch points, then that would completely be all right, because again, they don't need to, they're completely proportional. So if one thing is higher, then the other thing will be lower. And there's a little bit of an inequality here where basically if the touch points parameter is way less important than hours of content consumed. So still, YouTube is the GOAT. Do not sleep on YouTube. Don't think, oh my God, I can just have my touch points on Instagram. Do not sleep on YouTube, because this is the most important metric, because an hour of content consumed is probably equal to like 5 to 10 touch points basically. So imagine, instead of having them, it's like you kind of have to pick, right? It's like if you want to make them watch 100 reels of yours, it's going to be way harder to do that than to get them to watch maybe 10 videos. It's way harder. Trust me. It's way harder. And it's going to be very difficult just for you to produce that content, let alone get people to watch that content. So I'd highly recommend, that's why I always recommend get on YouTube. It's like the biggest platform for conversions in the info space right now. Everybody's sleeping on it. It's absolutely huge, especially micro-niched YouTube channels. Not like what Jon's doing here, but micro-niche YouTube channels, such as something that I'm doing or something that a lot of these other guys are doing with these raw and authentic videos. And of course, I've gone way more into detail on that in my other videos that you can see on my channel. I've gone into very deep detail on other funnels that have this micro-niche strategy as well. Now, as you can see, we're done with everything auxiliary. Now we can get into the main meat of the video, which is the Barnum effect, the Trident funnel, and of course, the main landing page that you go to. So when you go to add clients and you want to work with Jon, it's going to go over to this specific page. Now, he's going to go ahead and say, okay, we help experts land more high-ticket clients. That's what their main promise is. He shows off the whole team with him in the middle right over here, Mr. Jon, and then he gives off a ton of social proof. Right away, you're like, okay, this guy is kind of good at what he does. After that, he gives you the free gift momentum framework. And now he's building a little bit of goodwill. He's like, oh, I want you to like me now because I've given you something free. And you, no matter what you say, you will like somebody who gives you something free. No matter how nihilistic, no matter how narcissistic, whatever the hell you are, there is no difference. You're going to like somebody who gives you something for free. Although I don't even know if I used the word nihilistic right there, but narcissistic, you get what I mean. Now, next section is going to be where are you now and where do you want to go next? So he's saying we've built 3 different paths for where you are. And so this is the Barnum effect coming into place. The way that it works is that very general statements, very sweeping general statements can apply to very specific audiences. And the Barnum effect is basically the crux of all copywriting. This is what copywriting is revolving around. And so the way the Barnum effect basically works is that when you say, hey, chaotic, messy business, or let's say you give somebody a very general statement. For example, let's say you are like, this is for people who like pleasing others because they get validation from that. That is a sweeping generality of statement. That's every single human being in the world. And now some of you guys probably thought, hey, this guy's speaking so directly to me, right? And it's a very general statement. And that's the Barnum effect in play, where humans really like seeing that, oh my God, saying that something is completely specifically for them, because people want to feel like that special snowflake. And so with copywriting, all you got to do is you got to make it as believable as possible for them to be the special snowflake. You just have to make them think, hey, we're talking specifically to you. It can be literally the most broad statement ever. It just has to apply to your ICP. Obviously, the more tight-knit and the more specific your statement is, the better your copy is going to be. But it's kind of threading that fine line where it's not too specific where you're not really converting anybody, and it's not too broad where you're not converting anybody. And so that's where the Barnum effect comes into play. And it's a really, really fine line with the Barnum effect here. And you really have to be good at what you're doing to actually utilize it to its full potential. And that's what Jon is doing over here. He's really good at the Barnum effect in his funnel. And so you'll see over here, I have 2 pages. And the reason is because, as you can see, when you go to Let's Have a Chat, it's going to take you to this page. And this is where you get to book in a call with his team. I'm assuming that this basically gets you to join one of these 3 programs, and they kind of sort you in there. But you can also sort yourself as well. So you can access all of these 3 programs yourself as well. And that's, again, that's the main 3-pronged trident strategy that he's using. He's allowing you to pick which one fits you. So when you click on one of these buttons, you're kind of signing an oath to yourself where you're like, holy cow, this is perfect for me, right? Whenever you click this, whenever you're at $0 to $300,000 a year, you feel spoken to, because you're like, oh my God, this is literally a program made specifically for me. Even though there is millions of people on this earth that are in the same situation as you, but you feel so talked to, so specifically targeted, that you're like, oh my God, this is perfect for me. And this is, again, the Barnum effect in play here. And I know this is, I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, but trust me, the Barnum effect is the main crux of this funnel. It is so powerful. And the way that Jon is using it is just impeccable, right? And obviously, let's stop glazing Jon over here, but let's get into the main first program landing page. The first program is going to be momentum. This is how you build momentum. This is just 0 to 300,000. And he has made each and every single headline talk to the specific pains of these specific people. And so another really big upside of him moving you and allowing you to decide yourself where you want to go is that if you are at the $0 to $300,000 a year mark, you're probably going to have different problems than people at $300 to $2.5 million a year. So by allowing you to choose which scale you're at, which area of expertise you're at, he allows you to go ahead and basically give him social proof, give him market research, tell him where you are at. So he's way easier. It's like it becomes way easier for him to use the Barnum effect at this point, because he's talking to a way smaller audience compared to if he had to use one specific headline to sell all of these different types of people. It would be very difficult. So as you can see, title is going to be turned one-off sales into a consistent stream of dream clients without feeling trapped by your business. This is one of the biggest issues founders at the stage face, which feeling like trapped by their business, having one-off sales, stuff like that. And he's trying to sell to that. And his VSLs are super short and super raw. And you'll see this with a lot of people. If you see Iman's VSLs, if you see, well, not Iman's VSLs, he's not the best example, but Brez's VSLs, for example, those are super raw and authentic. Why? Because that is the type of VSL that's working in this day and age. A lot of people want to edit up their VSL, make it look all nice and pretty. That's not going to work very, very well in this age. Obviously, it's going to do well, but it's not going to work as good as possible. So I'd highly recommend make a raw and authentic VSL. You don't have any cuts. You don't have any editing. You just talk to the camera, have a talking head video, have some good lighting, good microphone, and just talk to the camera. That's it, right? And as you can see, this is actually closed right now. Applications are closed. And so I wouldn't be able to go over the whole funnel, but the main refusal list is just that he changes up this funnel depending on whether or not it's open. But this is the refusal list funnel, where basically it's like, what he goes ahead and value stacks over here, gives you CTAs throughout the page, introduces the exact process, because the confused prospect does not buy. You always have to remember that. The confused prospect does not buy. If they don't know what they're going to get, why they need it, and when they're going to get it, they will be way less likely to buy. It's just a feat of human nature. That's how it works. And then, of course, if they don't have social proof, they're also way less ready to buy. So you have even more social proof with these pictures over here. And then, of course, these screenshots or these text testimonials at the bottom. Now, after you're done with this page, there's also the other page, which is going to be expansion. So the masterminds for founders that are pushing $1 million and beyond. This is another VSL. It's about 4 minutes this time. It's about double the size of the old one. If you're fit, this 12-month experience. So this is a 12-month experience. And here he's mashing in more social proof, because previously he was just trying to sell to those desires. He was selling to the confused prospect. He was selling the features. But now he switched his tone. He switched to selling social proof. He switched to selling who is coming. He switched to selling people and social proof and a tribal sense, instead of just selling what is actually going to happen. So what he's done here is that there's more social proof. Obviously, there's even more social proof. There's a little bit of actually exclusivity going on, because he's like, oh, this is only for these kinds of people. If you're not there, you have to be, you can't join. This is exclusive for these people, even though like 300K plus a year to 2.5 million is literally a huge number of founders. It's insane how many founders that is. But still, you feel exclusive in this club, if you will, right? And then after that, he's naming all the problems that you have. He's telling you where you want to go. He's flushing out the dreamland, and then he's telling you this is the exact way to get there. That's basically what he's trying to do. He's trying to make deprivation, and then he's trying to go ahead and capitalize on that deprivation. Okay, this is more tribal stuff. This is more social proof. And then after that, there's an introduction of who Jon actually is, which at this point, they actually care about that, because they'll be very closely working with Jon, and they'll be paying way, way more money, more CTAs. After this is going to be a few binaries. So first, it's going to be even more social proof. And the confused prospect does not buy. It'll tell you exactly what the hell it is and what it's not. And then, of course, after that, he's going to start making binaries. What binaries means is that he only gives you two options that are either one being absolute dog crap where you don't want to do it at all, and then number two being extremely, extremely, extremely attractive. So number one is just going to be, this, which nobody wants to go to a place where 10K months are impressive or sought after, unless you're very, very low. That's why he didn't put this on this page. He put this on the page where people want to be going to people who are at 6 figures a month and learning from those people, 7 figures a month, stuff like that. And of course, they don't want beginner stuff. So they, again, keep on saying, we're not beginners. We're not doing this stuff. We are here for you being experienced, and we're here to get you to the next level. And then here, confused prospect does not buy. And then after that, it's also going to be more value stacking along with that. So value stacking plus it's going to be educating people on the actual offer, detailing exactly what's inside of it. There's going to be even more value stacking, more social proof with these pictures, and then another bit of social proof, which is huge. This video is very, very filled to the brim, basically, with testimonials, videos, clips, everything. It's just filled to the brim with all of that stuff that is basically just building a ton of trust with Jon and just making people very attracted to this specific program. And then, of course, he's building even more exclusivity where it's like, this is not for everybody. This is for select people. If you're serious about this, if you fit this bill, then you are in. If you don't fit this bill, which is very, very garbage, like nobody, like basically the way you want to structure one of these pages is that you want to have the worst client that you would ever think of, write down what they think. So imagine like your worst client that you could ever have, write down what they would be thinking at this moment. Then write down your dream client and what they would be thinking right down below. It's a super easy thought experiment, and it's super, super easy to do. Even more social proof, and then, of course, even more like a little bit of belief building. So it's like, what can actually happen in 12 months, this. And he's trying to break your beliefs where 12 months can't actually do anything, blah, blah, blah. And then final CTA for applying for expansion. He goes into a quick form where he just goes ahead and lets you fill out this form, moves you into another bit of a funnel. It's super simple after this point. This is the main, after this form point, you're basically going to lose nobody unless you're really, really bad at your funnel. Now, next is going to be the final funnel and the final one that he's using the Barnum effect on, the final prong of the 3 trident funnel, which is going to be the Titan section. So the Titan Mastermind is just going to be, for people who are at multi 7 and 8 figures and everything, $2.5 million annually. Next level demands something different, right? Conversations, opportunities, and networks. Titan Mastermind is that room. Pretty long VSL, not a pretty long, sorry, pretty short VSL, super short. Again, very raw and authentic. And here he's just trying to sell you on the fact, he's just trying to sell you on who's in the Titan Mastermind. And he just keeps on trying to do the same thing, which is value stacking. And he uses the same exact frameworks from this page, except he just tries to sell you on who's coming. So for example, Rory Sutherland, who I really like, and he is a very, very smart marketer. This person is going to be speaking, joining in December, which is going to get way, way more conversions than you actually think. So just Rory coming in is going to be a huge effect for the actual business. So that was Jon Penberthy's $542,000 per month sales funnel broken down into the nitty gritty. Hope you got a ton of value from that video. If you did, I'm glad. And of course, otherwise, if you are interested in working with me to build out something like this for your own business, if you have an existing audience, of course, fair warning, I only work with people who have existing audiences, and you want to implement some kind of info product into your own business, go and check the first link down below in the description. Go ahead and either DM me or check out the landing page down below in the first link. And of course, we can go and talk. If we do feel like we're a fit, we'll move on from there into a quick call. We'll book in a call together with either me or one of my team members, and then we can go ahead and talk about how we can actually help your business and whether or not we're actually a good fit, and move on from there. Of course, if you are interested in that, again, I'll leave a link right down below this video. It's going to be down below in the description. Otherwise, if you are not interested in anything like that and you just want to watch another one of my videos, go ahead and check that one out right there, because YouTube thinks that you'll like it. If you want to watch the whole funnel breakdowns playlist with 40 or 50 more of these exact funnel breakdowns, it's right down below this video. And of course, if you want to go ahead and leave a like and subscribe, which I would appreciate, subscribe button is in that like opposite corner down below. And of course, right down below this video is going to be the like button. Hoping that you click that, because that actually does help the channel, does help the video perform a little bit better. But anyways, hoping to see you in this next video. Goodbye.